Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Studer.
And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the hottest spot in town. This is Sunshine's Corner. I am your host, Sunshine, and as always, I want to invite you into a place where we can have all types of conversation, and you can feel good having that conversation. I believe that if there's anything that we're going to reach a solution, we have got to be able to talk about it. I mean, put it out, let's talk about it. That's what we're going to do today. Well, you know, on this past weekend, on the 18th, there was a nationwide, should I say, protest. And it was called No Kings. So today, I wanted to bring together so we can find out, because so many people in Pensacola, when I rolled through, after I left one event coming to another one, there were so many people there. So what I want to do, I believe in bringing people together. I believe in putting us all together. So what I did was made a phone call, and I want to welcome you in this morning to join in with me with this conversation. To my left, we have, tell them who you are, John.
I'm John Roberts. I'm chairman of the Republican Party in Escambia County.
And to my right,
I am Derek Scott. Good, thank you for having me. I am the chair for the Democratic Party here.
And to far right,
my name is Gabe Alamont, and I am a former congressional candidate, and now I am the founder of Engage Y'all PAC.
I love that. When I read that, when I asked him, I said, I got to get it. He said, Engage Y'all. I said, okay.
Engage Y'all.
Well, look, everybody, welcome, and thank you for getting up this morning to come in to have a conversation that's absolutely needed. And what we want to talk about is, because I think, and I said, I'm going to share my personal opinion, my personal thoughts, John. The fact of it is that when the people speak, and this past weekend, it showed me that they were speaking. And what were they speaking for? No kings. And when we say no kings, I want to hear what you think, John. When we say no kings, what are we talking about?
I think it's a lot of confusion, okay? We got rid of kings in July 2nd, 1776. We haven't had any royalty in this country with any power or thought since then. Mm-hmm. I think what they're trying to say is that there's an abuse of power. Mm-hmm. That's what they're trying to suggest, and I think that's completely wrong. Mm-hmm. There's been no abuse of power on the part of the Trump administration. He's done a lot of action. He's been very much within the Constitution. The courts have supported him over and over and over again. And I think he's doing a great job as our president. We're proud of him. And he's accomplishing so much in the world and in the country, enforcing laws, trying to keep people safe, trying to make America more prosperous. And this whole idea that somehow democracy is threatened by him it's really absurd. This really seems absurd to me, and just a terrible confusion for people to suggest that.
Okay. Now, when I say that, when you said that you think that the people are taking this the wrong way, well then, all these people that I saw this weekend thinking the wrong thing.
Yeah, because you're seeing a very, very small number of people. Okay. Very, very tiny percentage of people participating in this, okay? Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's 330 million people in this country, okay? I don't know how many actually were there, but it was a very, very tiny, and they represent a very small minority of the people who actually believe in some of those things. Most of the people understand. Why is it that they want people to come into this country? They're upset that they don't think Trump is allowing people in enough, and yet they think this country's in such bad shape. Okay, it doesn't make sense. Okay? We have a great country. It's not perfect. It never will be, but we have a great country. We have a republic more than a democracy. We have a republic, but the people speak. Elections matter in this country. Most elections, I think, are fair and they're accurate, and we support that. And we see that people are trying to be misled to thinking that this is a bad country, and it's not.
I agree.
And I hear some people saying, we're in a kingship right now, and that's really ridiculous. They wouldn't be able to be free to express their thoughts in the way they do if we were under some dictatorship or some monarchy or that nature. You couldn't do this in Saudi Arabia, where they have a real king who has a real power. Okay, you don't see demonstrations against the king there, where they have a real king, but they're free to do it here, and that's a good thing.
Right. Okay. Now I heard him say something. Now I want to come to you, Derek, because he said that they were free to do it as kings. But why is it that we feel that there's so many people that showed up on Saturday, the both of you, to say that there are no kings, because it feels like a dictatorship?
Yeah, well, first let me go back to something you said earlier. This is when I said when we talked about earlier before we were on live, to make sure that we have truthful and honest conversations.
Right.
And that's what I hope that we have here today. When we look at where we talk about the folks thinking, well, let me address what you said. I don't think that there's anybody in the United States that literally thinks that there is a king of the United States.
Right.
That's absurd. Nobody
right.
is saying that,
Right.
with that. I think we all have common sense and we exercise good judgment. It's not that the title of an aristocrat or an autocrat is happening, it's the actions that you have to look at that's happening in this United States that resemble that of an autocracy or that of a fascist regime. They have all of the characteristics of such.
Okay.
So nobody is suggesting that, King Trump is actually King Trump. Nobody is stupid here. We all right. We understand that. This is a democracy and a republic, as my counterpart mentioned. However, you have to look at the actions. When he talked about an abuse of power, I think that there are families, particularly those families in Venezuela, who lost their loved ones because this man that sits in the White House authorized an airstrike that killed people on boats without the act of Congress. He authorized that. Civilians. That's an abuse of power. Just more recently, there were two individuals from Trinidad and Tobago. It hits a little close to me because those are my distant relatives, right across the pond from Barbados, trying to get back because they were spending time in Venezuela, coming back. And this man that sits in the White House decided to do yet another airstrike and was going to classify them as narco-terrorism. There's no evidence of such. Just because someone happens to be traveling doesn't mean all Venezuelans aren't engaging in drug traffic, right? That's an absurd comment, and that's an absurd thing to think, right? So if you see a boat, that doesn't happen. And so you have people in these nations, particularly in Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, who don't want to go into international waters on fishing excursions to make their living because some man all the way in Washington, D.C. feels it appropriate to bomb people. That's what's called an abuse of power.
Right.
You have him dictating to the Speaker of the House not to swear in a duly elected member of Congress from the state of Arizona to have their seat to make the why because you don't want Epstein files released, right? Let's call a thing what a thing is. It's an abuse. It's an abuse of power. So to sit here and say, "Oh, this is a great country," and nothing like that is happening. It's far from absurd. It's some kind of alternate reality to me. That if you think like that, you borderline on senility. So for me, this is what we're seeing, and to say that only it's so small of a number of people. Let's be clear. No Kings 2 was the largest demonstration in the history of the United States. 7 million people attended a No Kings protest. So it's not, everybody's satisfied, everybody's not doing that. That's absolutely not the case, because if there were such a small number of people, they wouldn't be working so hard to demonize and discredit the work that's happening with No Kings. So let's have I hope we have, in whatever length of time that we have left, we can engage in honest and truthful conversation, because,
I want to pass it on to Gay.
So this weekend was, I want to call it a rally, not a protest.
Right.
It was people coming together because this is what's happening in our country right now.
Right.
We have masked men in Trump's private army of ICE abducting brown people and putting them in internment camps. We also have the starvation of the black community and taking away of health care. We also have women's rights being taken away. So people are coming out of the woodwork to make sure their voices are heard, because you can't govern in this democracy by executive order, by breaking the law. And you made the statement that the courts are helping Trump. At every turn, every time Trump is trying to put our American troops on the streets of big cities, which happen to be blue cities, to intimidate people so that they don't vote in 26.
No.
people are pissed. And those people came out this weekend to make sure that the Republican Party and that Donald Trump don't take their rights away.
I want to say this too as you talk about that, and with this protest that was out this weekend, if you notice, there was nothing wrong. Nothing was done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Everything with all those millions of people in all these different cities, in these different states, cities, everywhere, there was not any problems. What do I see, John? Okay, this is me. I think that with that speaking of volume around everywhere you could name, there was a protest going on. Everybody is seeing the same thing because, and I wanted to ask this question if I ever, why is it that everything is said that's done is Democrats? Why? Everybody that was out this weekend were not just Democrats.
No.
Why is it that every time it's always, well, it's the Democrats that did that. It's the Democrats who did that. Explain that to me.
Well, because it is the Democrats who are largely in leadership. There may have been others that were out there, but who's leading this, okay? You don't name a Republican congressman who was out there saying that Trump was a king. I don't think you can find
Well, our
any.
Republican congressman is missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's been on vacation he's been on vacation for 30 days.
They represent really probably the majority of people. We won the last election, if you recall.
Wait.
Yes. Now, let's
please.
understand
Hold,
the
please.
false statements. When you say Trump's private army, that is beyond
Oh, I said
absurd.
that.
She said
She
that.
said
You
that.
said that.
No,
I
I said
didn't.
that.
Yes,
She said
that is
that.
beyond absurdity, okay? That is so false. This is a public federal government agency, okay? It's there to enforce the immigration laws, immigration
Yeah, the
control
worst of the worst, right?
enforcement. And it's totally within the law and what they are doing.
And you
Trump
should direct
is
your conversation to her because she said it. I didn't say
Okay,
it.
well, you both were saying these things. Now so it's totally false to try to suggest it's a, quote, private army. And this is the type of nonsense we keep hearing over and over from the Democrat Party leadership. Over and over.
So,
Just
I'm not going to cut
to
you off. But
Just listen
okay,
to them.
Okay, but listen to this. Okay, you said that these things are coming from the Democratic Party that's
Largely,
being nonsense,
certainly.
largely. But I think the largest is not coming from the Democrats. My question to you was, why is it that it's so difficult to see what's right in front of us? If you could go back to this past weekend, and I just want to get an answer for this without saying, okay, it was the Democrats, it was the Republicans. Okay. I want it put on the table real. Why is it that even with the people showing up like they did on a scale of numbers as huge as they did, does not say to you this could signal a shift in the public engagement?
Absolutely
Does not show you the shift in the mobilization of capacity?
No, not at all. There's still, how many were there at the Pensacola? I don't know for sure.
2,500.
2,500.
It didn't look like that.
2,500.
But whatever.
And
I
did
think
you come
these
in
numbers.
2,500?
I think some of the numbers have been. That's not even an argument how many were there. There were a bunch there.
Mm-hmm.
But what were they doing? I saw a sign: hands off Social Security. What has this got to do with Social Security? The Democrats have tried to destroy the Social Security system, not the Republicans. It was the Democrats, President Lyndon Johnson in '67, who unified the budget of Social Security with the general budget, creating the problems with Social Security. Republicans have constantly tried to improve the system. We proposed a number of things over the decades to try to make it stronger. The Democrats do not want that. They don't want private dividends or interest rates coming into the system, which would give them more money. They've totally opposed that very strongly. And I'd say, yes, that is the Democrat leadership that's done that.
But you see, everything
and
I've
so
had-
why are
excuse me,
they
John.
saying that somehow
John.
we shouldn't have a king
John,
because of that? Yes.
John. Okay. And you were going to say?
Yeah, so I was going to say it's always a talking point to reach 60 plus years back to talk about something that's happened about Social Security.
But still happening today.
And again, please, I'm talking. And when we look at where we are in 2025, and in the most recent years, it was our very own Florida Senator Rick Scott who introduced legislation into the U.S. Senate to abolish and eliminate
Oh,
Social
that's another
Security.
false statement.
So it's not. Everybody can go back and look you don't have to. For those who are watching, you don't have to take my word. You certainly don't have to take your word or his word. Go to the Senate.gov, U.S.Senate.gov, and look at the records and the bills that were introduced in his name, not my name, not Gay's name, certainly not his name, but it was Rick Scott who introduced that legislation and tried to champion it. Now it was voted down, it didn't pass. But when we talk about people trying to eliminate Social Security, it comes the call is coming from inside the House.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. And so again, if we're going to sit here and talk about truths, let's make sure that we're talking truth, right? And that's the piece that I want to make sure
but
we're
that
talking
didn't
about.
happen.
Okay.
The bill he put in was simply a sunset bill that we had to simply appropriate each year or each 2 years, every so often. All the social programs that we have. There was no attempt, no support for abolishing Social Security.
And you just said,
absolutely zero.
Right.
It was simply a way we need to look at the entire federal budget, which has a $2 trillion deficit even now, and we're $37 trillion in debt. We need to look at that. We need to try to make it at least closer to being balanced.
And you know
That's
who added
very
more
important.
to the debt than any other president?
Okay, and it keeps going up with each president.
And you
Because
know
No, let's not. Again, sir, at what point in time do you ever talk about something that's based in truth? You spend we are just 10 minutes into the show and you start off lying. The individual with the most, to Gay's point, the debt has increased more so with Donald Trump. There were times we talk about reducing the debt. Certainly, if I can follow your lead and go back in time, we can talk about Bill Clinton. We can also talk about Barack Obama. If we can go back in time, I'm following your lead because you like to go back in time, so I'll go back in time as well. That's where we are. And then we see the work that was done from the Clinton and then Obama administration be blown astronomically out of proportion by the man in the White House first term. We're only 10 months into his second term, and we are seeing disastrous effects of the economy. Number one, unemployment continues to skyrocket.
Black
unemployment continues to skyrocket. Don't say
hold
no.
Hold that right there. We got to go to break because I want to come back to that because that was next on my agenda. Why is it that? And I want you to think about that, John. I want you to think about that and tell me what you see. Why is it that as you see with all the jobs that are being taken, they're black women? We'll be back and talk about that more right here on Sunshine's Corner.
Good day, Pensacola. Welcome to a new segment on health and wellness sponsored by Baptist Healthcare in partnership with Sunshine's Corner. Every first Wednesday of the month during Sunshine's telecast, we're going to be bringing you information about health and wellness and ways to make sure we're improving the quality of your health care here in Pensacola. After all, we want to ensure that you're going to the right place at the right time and for the right reason and that you don't feel alone. Can't wait to see you.
At FPL, we plan for storm season all year long. We're strengthening poles to better withstand severe weather. We're clearing lines to improve resiliency, and we're constantly training teams to act at a moment's notice. Because we're always working, always preparing. So when storms do hit, you can count on us. FPL, working for you every single day.
Sonia Bay's Botanicals is a local wellness boutique that specializes in infused fruit juices, medicinal herbal tea remedies, clean hair and body care, and herbal infused sea moss gels, which can be purchased 1 for $25 or 2 for $40. This sea moss contains 92 of the body's 102 essential minerals used to increase energy, relieve pain and inflammation, and improve blood pressure and more. From parasite cleanse to detox and weight loss to blood sugar control, Sonia Bay's Botanicals has a natural solution for you.
I'm Emily Echeverria, Marketing Communications Director for Council on Aging of West Florida and the host of Coming of Age. Watch our show to find out what we're doing for our seniors and their families and hear from area experts and local business owners about their programs and services. Want to help? Find out how you can work with us to bring a better future to our seniors. Watch Coming of Age, 3:30 p.m. Wednesdays, only on Blab TV.
And welcome back to the hottest spot in town. This is a conversation that's certainly needed. And I believe that we don't talk about it enough. And when I say that, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be a part of this. And I mean, somebody said, call my cell phone, I'll put you on speaker. But the fact of it is, we're talking about our country. Mm-hmm. We're talking about Pensacola. We're talking about the things that's affecting us and what also behooves me to the highest. I cannot understand why we don't see the same. That is the hardest thing for me to comprehend when I see, and we were talking before we went to break, we were talking about the jobs that are affecting black people. Look how many black women jobs have been taken away. However, I'm going to interject this into my saying that, is there a fear of the lack of, because of the changes in the minority? Whereas, who will be the stronger of? Do you understand? I don't want to use certain words. We also know that I think that it's being attacked at black women because of the fact, and the nation, we all know it, all you gotta do is look it up. Black women are the most educated species there is. But they're cutting their jobs to the core. And only I see the people of color that's being cut. Why is that? But you're blinded to the fact that of what we're saying. We're not blind to the fact of what you're saying, but what we're trying to do is come to an agreement that we see this because the American people are speaking. That's what that protest was about this weekend. Let's be real. They didn't show up because it was Saturday morning, they wanted to stand out and get a tan. They want to be heard. They need to be heard. And as I'm seeing, John, it was not only Democrats there. There were Republicans there who are feeling the same way. So therefore, why is it so hard for us to see what this current administration with the dictatorship, yes it is, that's going on, that's plain that a 6-year-old can see it, but it's blinded to some of us. Why? I'm asking you that. Why? Do you not see that the jobs being taken from the black women?
No, I don't see that. There's been no program to take jobs away from black women, okay? Nobody is focusing on that, trying to do that. I don't know.
Excuse me. Why is it that every black woman that held a spot on TV that was speaking loudly, their jobs were taken away? Why is it now they're trying to come after Jasmine Crockett? Because Jasmine Crockett does not bite her tongue. Why is it that we see this, all of our strong people that were getting the message out, and even with the people who are not of color, if you go against anything that's being said, then your job is taken.
Yep.
Why?
Because that isn't happening. First of all,
that's not happening.
President Trump has nothing to do with who the networks hire. He hardly controls them. He's hardly in charge of the major networks.
Well, he tried.
Do you think he controls? Do you think he controls ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC?
He's tried.
CNN. He does not control them. He does not control who they are. He has a right to criticize them when they say false things, which they often do.
And he has zero right to remove a talk show host.
Did not want us to interrupt each other.
Go ahead, but I am going to have to real-time fact check you, but go ahead.
You're interrupting.
Go ahead.
Please.
Go ahead.
Okay. He has no control over that. He can argue that they are misusing their position, but he cannot fire them. The networks are in control of that. He cannot do anything to fire any of those people. So when you suggest that somehow some black women who are on TV got fired,
not suggest, this is a fact.
Well, it's not anything to do with Trump.
Yes, it is.
It's a totally.
Who is it to do
you
with
think
it?
he controls NBC?
If I bully you and tell you I'm coming after you, what you gonna do?
Fight back, okay?
Exactly.
You think MSNBC is controlled by President Trump? Answer that.
Yes, he does. He tries to control everybody.
But he doesn't control it.
So what I would like to say is, while he keeps making the point that he doesn't control MSNBC, truthfully, he's not the CEO of NBC Universal. Right. He's not the CEO of ABC or whoever owns their parent company, whatever their parent company is, Disney or whatever the case may be. What he does control is the FCC. Yes. Right? So let's be clear about what we're saying and what's happening. Now let's go back to your original point.
Thank you.
Right? Because they like to pivot to other things. We're going to stick back to what you just said. And the topic of where we were was unemployment skyrocketing, right? And so we just saw in this calendar year, not last year, not 20 years ago, not 60 years ago, in this calendar year, President Trump fired the person who does the jobs reports because he didn't like to see the numbers going up. He wants someone in there to lie to the people. In fact, every month from the time that he has stepped foot into the White House to present day, unemployment has continued to rise. Black unemployment has continued to rise. Now, it is no myth. Everybody knows. It is common fact. It's fact. Whether he wants to agree with it, whether I want to agree with it, I do. But it is commonplace, in fact, to know that black women are the most educated demographic in these United States. Not white men, not white women, not black men, not Asian men, black women. So it does seem disproportionate that the most educated demographic is experiencing the highest amount of job loss in these United States. Now, let's talk about why that is. Could it possibly be that there needs to be a dumbing down of the electorate so that they can talk about and misconstrue these talking points? For someone to look me in the face, to look you in the face, and to look gay in the face, and to sit here and lie and say employment has not skyrocketed is absurd. Again, can we please have a conversation rooted in truth? For those people who talk about people being and I'm gonna take it because they take it there all the time. Talk about Christians and being faithful. The number one they talk about is thou shalt not lie. And again, if you're gonna sit here for a whole hour and lie to folks, when we can read and look at the jobs report in the federal government, we see what's happening to unemployment, and particularly black unemployment at skyrocketing, and we experience it not only in large cities, we're seeing it here in Escambia County. When we see the amount of unhoused population here in our very own community continue to skyrocket. Why? Because unemployment is continuing to skyrocket. You can't pay rent or you can't pay mortgage if you don't have a job, right? So nobody is deciding to willingly say, you know what? I don't like my 4-bedroom house. I'm gonna hoof it in a box on Palafox. Nobody is willingly going to do that. That literally makes no sense. It is issues. It is there's a crisis here in Northwest Florida, in Escambia County, and in these United States that is causing this to happen. And for sending anybody to sit up here and say, "Oh no, it's not happening. It's not happening. I don't know what you're talking about," to say that there's no program that's attacking the black women from losing their job. I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought we just spent the last year with an attack on what they call as DEI and woke policies and trying to, so they are removing qualified black women, black men, Hispanic men, all people of color, and replacing them with unqualified white men. That's what's happening. You see it all the time. There is not a person in this United States cabinet and under the man in the White House's administration that is qualified to do what they are supposed to do. You have a podcaster that is leading the FBI. Now you tell me why somebody can sit in front of a microphone in a studio and talk about and espouse stuff that's untrue, should be qualified to be the highest person in law enforcement in these United States. Tell me what qualification that makes. Tell me what man who sits here and is over the Department of Defense, who tells people they need to be in shape and ain't no fat people running around. But when you see him in the gym, can't do not one pull-up, but want to tell somebody else what shape they need to be in. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how, when the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States can't have a phone that texts, they can't have a video, they can't, picture, they can't have cameras on their phone. Can someone then put Signal on their phone and leak documents all across the world? You tell me how that makes sense. That is a direct result of unqualification. You can't hold you don't have the intelligence nor the ability to sit in the positions that we are. The administration right now is a clown show. It's a bunch of clowns, and that's why we have the circus that we have.
How do you feel about the unqualified people that are there?
First of all, what you just said has absolutely nothing to do with the idea that somehow Trump is a dictator or Trump is abusing power. Has nothing to do with that at all. I don't know. There are individuals. We treat people as individuals, not as parts of groups or races or whatever. Every individual is what's important. You're important. You're important. You're important. Okay, we deal with people as individuals, okay? So you're trying to draw some conclusions by a little bit increase in this or that by a group.
It's not a little bit.
Simply,
that's a huge increase.
I haven't heard any statistics from the government.
You never hear statistics. You're the most intellectually unknowledgeable person I've ever sat with, because you know a lot of stuff, but when it comes down to current statistics, you always
you don't seem to have any. You haven't given any.
Okay, how about 7.2? That's the black unemployment rate. Would you like me to continue? I can go back for the rest of the year. We got 6.3.
What was it at the beginning?
We got what?
Do you
the beginning
recognize
of
that there's an unemployment?
You don't recognize that there's an unemployment rate?
2.8. When Trump took office, black unemployment was at 2.8. We are now at 7.2.
Okay,
so
I'll have to check on that.
I'll have to
check on that.
You
but
can
anyway,
get your phone out. Right.
But anyway,
do it now so you
not,
can make sure.
Okay.
Right.
The Trump policies are simply trying to build the economy. Okay. He realizes that we have some
economy to do with unemployment? How you build an economy?
You build a strong economy. You increase the investment in this country
so
that more jobs.
So the rich get richer.
No, so that. How do you think poor people get their jobs? They get them because people.
He said the poor people.
How do you think those who are poor? I didn't say no. I said those who are poor. I don't know what you did.
You said
trickle down economics.
Okay, we got to take a break.
How do you take?
Hold on. We got to go to break. I just got to quickly go to break. Yes, I am. I got to go back and make sure that I can keep my job so I can pay my bills, because I'm a black woman. I'll be right back tomorrow right here on Sunshine's Corner.
You finally found the perfect car in racing blue. You even got them to throw in the LED fog lights for free. Auto Owners insures your car because some people never learn to parallel park. That's simple human sense.
Ask the Messick Insurance Agency in Pensacola if Auto Owners make sense for you.
Keep going, more. No, stop!
Are you looking for local and regional sports highlights and insights?
Join us for the Saturday Morning Sports Blitz every Saturday morning at 9 Central for a wrap-up of high school games and upcoming college matchups.
Plus interviews this fall with high school coaches and college insiders.
Join us right here live every Saturday at 9 a.m. on Blab TV for the Saturday Morning Sports Blitz.
We'll see you then.
So you've got to come join us November 12th and 13th at the Pensacola Little Theater for this year's EntreCon. And our theme is Embracing Collective Growth. It's a great opportunity for everybody to come together, whether you're a business leader, a business owner, or new to the working world. There's something for everyone. And we've got some great speakers coming from all over. You'll walk away with some great lessons learned and some great connections that you've made with others. So please come join us in November, the 12th and 13th, Pensacola Little Theater for EntreCon.
The Emerald Coast Utilities Authority's state-of-the-art materials recycling facility processes recyclables for communities throughout the region, lowering need for more landfills. This highly efficient recycling service accepts glass, paper, cardboard, plastics, aluminum, and more. But we need your help. Please make sure your recyclables are clean of garbage, food, and liquids. Also, please remember that plastic shopping bags, foam products, or yard waste are not recyclable. To learn more, go to livegreenecua.com.
And welcome back to this Tuesday edition of, you know what I usually call my Tuesdays? Talk About It Tuesday. I mean, I like it. And we're talking about it today.
We're talking about it today.
I want to thank my guest for coming in, John Roberts. He is the chair with the Republican Party here in Northwest Florida. And of course, we got the chair, Escambia County, with Derek Scott. And of course, my good friend Gabe. I mean, she's here, and I mean, she's done a lot of work in this community. For what? Engage y'all.
Engage y'all.
I love it so. Now, we were talking off camera, and let me apologize for some of our viewers who are, I'm getting text messages, you're getting text messages. We're experiencing a few technical difficulties, but the fact of it is that you will be able to see this again this afternoon at 6 o'clock. Please make sure you know that. And for those, I don't know what it is, but you see, when you want to talk truth and you want to be heard, something always happens. Now I can't get anybody on the phone. But isn't the enemy alive? Alive and well. But the fact that we're talking about things that needs to be talked about. It's not that I hate John or I hate Derek. I'm all about love, but I think that we should be able to talk about it.
Yes.
We have great conversations.
Yes.
We've talked many
Yes.
times. But the fact of it is we are going to discuss the things that I feel that there are disparities and there's a separation there. Now, we were talking about the fact before we went to break, we were talking about the unemployment with the numbers was 7.2 from a 2 point something in the last 10 months. Then we were talking about healthcare. You wanted to reach out to that, and I think, John, you were going to talk about the things that we were talking about as far as with, he said he had to check out the numbers because he was not aware of the employment status of the rate that's going up as high as it has in the last 10 months. Am I correct?
That's what he said.
Okay, now he's going to check that out, but I'm telling you, if you can Google, hey Google, show me that. It'll do it for you.
Right,
but the fact of it is, we are talking about things that needs to be talked about. We're talking about the disparities that are going on, but we as people, with the things that are right in our faces, we will never, ever, ever, ever get anywhere unless we can come to the table and I feel like I'm at the table. We will never get anywhere if you're going to invite me to your table, but I'm just a pretty picture there. The fact that I also want to touch this back to you, when you brought up something and I want to come back because of where my heart is when it comes to faith and believing. Faith and believing. My question is, how can you tell me that you love the same God that created me? But you can turn around because of my pigmentation, tell me that I'm lacking of, but you love me because you go to church, but from what I studied, the church is in you. The building is where we come together, but the church is in you.
Amen.
And what I'm saying is, how can all I hear this, even when it comes to that, my faith and what you believe in, what Christ said, but you're going to overlook the things that you're doing to me because of the racism that's going on, that's taking place right now, John, like it was when my mother and father used to tell me things that happened when I was a child. And I see them resurfacing now. Why is it that we cannot sit here and talk about the fact that even with the Black history, even with Dr. King, even with everything that has already done, civil rights, they are being targeted, even to the fact of having books for our children to read, to teach them Black history, to let them know who they are. But I say this to the community all the time. We are our children's teacher. Teach them at home. Nobody can take away. We walk Blackness every day. You are the best teacher there is. Let's teach them what they need to know. And I say that, John, and I say that, dear, because these are things that has been attacked. And why do I say that? Because that's affecting my community. Right. That's affecting even with, when I talk with Grace, with the, she is over the people of color.
All right.
Hispanic community.
The Hispanic community. They're experiencing the same thing, even down to ICE. But the fact what we're trying to get clarified today is, if we are the people together in these United States, why is it so important that I have to feel that I'm being attacked because of a beautiful pigmentation I was born with?
You shouldn't feel that at all. Okay, you're a wonderful person, and you deserve all the respect that anybody should give anybody, okay? You're great, okay? In fact, you're more educated than most. I'm sure you're one of those that's more highly educated.
I hold 2 degrees.
Absolutely, okay? But you know, you said something about faith, and that was so important. Because at a Kamala Harris rally, somebody just yelled out, "Jesus is Lord, Jesus is King." And what was her response? "You're at the wrong rally." Okay? That was her response. How does that make people who are faith Christians think? In fact, Biden took Easter Sunday, okay, Resurrection Sunday, the celebration of the resurrection of Christ, and he made it, what was it, Transsexual Awareness Day. He tried to degrade a beautiful Christian holiday celebration into something very, very hostile to the.
Why is it degrading?
It's very degrading to do that.
Why is it degrading?
So you're trying to change that to something that we know is impossible. People can't change their gender. Okay?
Nobody said.
We know that scientifically.
According to you, right?
Okay.
I knew that
so how is the Christians going to feel?
We're not going to talk about the economy, and we're not going to talk about health care. We're going to always go back to transgender athletes, right? Because that works for y'all.
No, that works.
She didn't bring up transgender. Don't put it up.
We never bring it up.
Bring it up.
But it's every time I'm ever have a conversation with someone in the Republican Party. Not Republicans, because that's completely different. In the Republican Party or talk show radio hosts that are very conservative, the first thing they ask us is, how about them transgender athletes? And I'm saying, let's talk about the economy.
I was talking about earlier.
Let's talk about health care. Let's talk about the fleecing of the lower and middle class in this country. Let's talk about the racist policies that are coming out of the White House. And if anybody labels them as anything different than racist, they're lying.
No, that's not true at all. I have to totally disagree.
True.
Not a single racist policy that's coming from Donald Trump, the president, or any of his offices, or the Republican Party. The Democrat Party has such a horrible history of racism, as you well know, and unfortunately, you laugh at being pro-slavery.
Yeah,
you laugh at being against civil rights.
But
they're doing it even
now,
even in the last few years. Senator Rubio, as senator, proposed a bill.
A Republican?
Yes, a Republican.
Okay.
That proposed a bill that would stop the importation of goods from China that were made by slave labor. Every single Republican supported it. And I think even 6 Democrat senators supported it. And there were, I think, 44 Democrats that filibustered. They called the filibuster racist the week before, and then they used the filibuster to block a bill that would stop the importation of goods made by slave labor. This is where the Democrat Party is. But also, in the year 2020, California, right, the biggest state, strong Democrat state, their legislature put a referendum on the ballot to abolish the non-discrimination laws, to abolish all the things that Martin Luther King fought for, to abolish the civil rights laws. Fortunately, the people of California didn't accept that. they rejected that.
The civil
they
rights
spent
laws now.
57% against that.
In front of the Supreme Court now, there's gutting of the Civil Rights Act.
No, there isn't.
Gutting.
No,
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So see again, this is what I talk about when we go by. This is what we talk about.
Totally
Please, now you talk. Now I'm talking. Now, when we talk about it again, this is where we talk about when I say you can quote that somebody said Jesus is Lord, and Kamala Harris said in her rally. You can quote that, but you don't know job support. That's why I say you know history, but when current stuff is happening, you feign ignorance, which is highly.
On that issue, I did, yes. But
you just said every time we say something, it's like, oh no, I don't know that. I go back to our show in 2024 when he talked about when we brought up on this very same table, or back at the other studio, where we brought up that the man in the White House during his debate said that Haitians were eating cats and dogs, and you said, "Oh no, that didn't happen. I don't know what I'm talking about." It's always current stuff that you don't know, but you could talk about pro-slavery and Democrats. This currently, right now, that is being argued at the Supreme Court by the state of Louisiana, the Solicitor General. Republican in the state of Louisiana, Republican, is currently arguing that they want to take out race, and they're trying to gut the last piece of the Voting Rights Amendment for redistricting purposes. Now you're shaking your head no, because apparently, like everything else that happens in current moment, you have no earthly idea of what's happening.
I'm totally aware of that.
So
and
then
it's not happening
again,
that
hopefully
way. What
I'm
we're
shaking.
seeing
Hopefully
is
I'm talking. So what we see that right right now. We've seen a systemic gutting of the Voting Rights Act. They have abolished that. We continually see that. So when you talk about Democrats being racist and putting out racist policies, Democrats aren't in charge in the U.S. House of Representatives. Democrats aren't in charge of the United States Senate. Democrats aren't in charge of the Supreme Court. Democrats aren't in charge at the executive branch. But certainly what we see is an amalgamation of attacks of people of color. The man just authorized ICE in this current year to say that ICE agents could stop people based on the way they look and the way they sound. Now, maybe you, I hope, as a former educator, are schooled enough on the definition of racism, but clearly you don't understand what it is, because if that in and of itself is not a racist policy, then I challenge you to redefine what your definition of racism is, because you're clearly ignorant about it. These things happen. They're not taking, ICE is not taking.
Name somebody. Name a person who they arrested falsely. Okay?
Oh, can we just talk about
Let's talk about reality.
Let's talk about it.
People showing up to their hearings.
Let's talk about
arrested.
it. There are people, we just had a man earlier this year, and God forgive me, I cannot remember his name, but I will Google it, and by the next break, we'll get it to you. The man in Tallahassee, who was a United States citizen, got held in ICE and was shipped down to Alligator Alcatraz and was denied due process. We have the lady in Georgia who was stopped unlawfully because they mistook her car for another car, and she happened to have an expired driver's license. She was separated from her family. That happened in the state of Georgia. We can go on and on about these things. There is a Haitian man who died in ICE custody, who happens to be a United States citizen, who died in ICE custody. They had rallies in the city of Miami just this year. He was in ICE custody. So please don't give me that malarkey about, oh, there's nobody being, they're not being targeted.
Hold up. Let's understand. I apologize for that. Excuse those, but I think
excuse me, John.
Okay.
Okay, hold up. I am going to do this. There's a person on my cell phone.
Okay.
Okay, now what is that you have to say, sir?
Yes. Congress should be ashamed of themselves. There are people who got notices that one lady here in Escambia County, her copay was $2.75. It will now be $57. But here's the deal: Trump children and his inner circle are getting paid while he's talking about not paying federal workers. He's an evil person, and the Republican Party would never admit that he's a racist, but he is.
Thank you, Ellison. We're going to address that, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Everybody, we got, okay, well, he just told me I got to go a break. Something else has happened. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, I've gotten so many text messages. I'm going to reply to those text messages because there's something wrong with the system. I don't know. The devil's. But stay with us, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a conversation. It's really Talk About It Tuesday. And I want you to talk about it as well, right here on Sunshine's Corner.
My name's Kelly McLeod. I'm the owner of Bella Magazine. Bella is a source of uplifting and inspiring content for the women of Pensacola.
I think the magazine is just so thoughtfully done. There's a lot of attention to detail. The stories are really good.
You've got seriousness, you've got fun, education, fashion. It just encompasses everything.
Women are multidimensional, and so is Bella.
From the efficiency of American natural gas and the dependability of nuclear power, to the strength of Florida's sunshine and the flexibility of advanced battery storage systems, we leverage a diverse mix of energy sources to power our growing state, ensuring reliable, low-cost power for your home or business whenever you need it. FPL, working for you every single day.
Adventure, fun, and connections is all right here in your backyard with Pensacola Parks and Recreation. Bike the trails and feel the rush. Come to our senior programs for ages 50 and older. learn new skills, and make new friends. Tee up at Osceola Golf Course and paddle into nature with Bayview Outdoor Pursuits. Pensacola Parks and Recreation. Discover more, play more, live more.
Well, I think it's all about local, and I'm a big believer in local. So I think anytime you can carry a message out locally, it's important. And I think it's anytime the person that delivers the service can also deliver the message, which is unusual. You have the people that actually deliver the project doing the talking, and I think that's a huge difference, and really makes a huge value difference for the consumer. So I'm really just so grateful that we have this local opportunity with Blab TV. My name is Quint Studer, and I am Blab TV.
Welcome back to the hottest spot in town. This is Sunshine's Corner, where we have those difficult conversations. You can feel comfortable having them, because I do not believe that you can conquer anything without talking about it. And we are trying to do this civil, to talk to each other, not at each other, to talk facts and not misconceptions. And the fact of it is, we're talking about things that are being experienced in this United States now. And when I say that, John, let me say this. This was in my head. We got a caller on my cell phone. I'll tell you, which is a good thing. Guys, I love you with the perfect kind of love. Do you think it's impossible? Hold on, Jeff, because I don't want to forget this point. I keep hearing Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. When, if ever, are we going to come and say, let's do what's right? Forget the party you're under.
Americans.
We are all citizens, red, yellow, black, white, or brown, in these United States. When will we ever get to the point? Will I see it in my lifetime? Let me finish. Because all I hear is slander against under what party you are affiliated with. When is it? Because whether you want to acknowledge this or not, some of these same policies are going to affect you.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to come after Sonshine and not get John. He's going to get Sonshine, jump over John, and I'm going to skip Gate and come and get Derek. It doesn't work that way. Oh, no. My point, what I'm trying to say is, because I am so about understanding and peace. I'm so about, why can't we live in this world, the rainbow of color that we have? Why can't we live in this world peaceably and stop jabbing at Democrats? That's the party they're under. You are a Republican. If that's what you choose, you got that right. But even under that right, let's be truthful for what's right in front of us. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hold this person on my phone really long, because I got 90%. Hi, Jeff.
Good morning, Sunshine. How are y'all doing this morning?
Wonderful.
Hey, Jeff.
Good. Well, I just want to real quick clarify something that John said that was not correct.
Okay.
Y'all were talking about being truthful, and his comment was about Easter in 2024 and Transgender Day of Visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Transgender Day of Visibility is a fixed observance on March 31st of every year. Easter moves. Those two were not put on the same date by President Joe Biden. That was how the calendar fell.
How the calendar falls, yes.
So I want to call that out as an example of twisting narratives. And quite honestly, you were talking about faith, and all of God's children, including the trans community,
mm-hmm.
are to be valued and loved. So I think Jesus would be happy to share that day.
Amen.
Yeah.
I tell you, this what Jeff, we're gonna thank you for calling my cell phone. We got a phone. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great show.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I tell you, I have to apologize because of the fact that we're experiencing technical difficulties. I say this because we're in the we're having those moving vibes. You have to go through things when you're transitioning, that you run into a few difficulties. But the fact of it is, we are still striving to be the best. And whether we have to go through a phone that's not working right, or right here in the hallway, we're still gonna get our message out, because the words have power.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say, we're down to the last 4 minutes. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this hour has gone by so swiftly. But I want to say, John, I thank you for coming in with me, and this is not the last time.
Okay.
Because once we move in the new studio, we're gonna do more. And then the fact I want to say to you, Derek, thank you for coming, and Gay, thank you for being a part of this conversation as well. I believe, John, in everything that I have in that causes me to wake up every day. I believe that the Christ that we all serve, he is going to make sure that this is going to be brought to light, because he said whatever's done in the dark, he's going to bring it in the light.
Hey. That's right.
So all we got to do is just wait on God and do what we're doing right now and continue to do the right thing. And we must come as a people. We as a community, John, Derek, Gay, and all of our viewers, we see what's happening in the world. We see what's happening in these United States. We have got to continue to fight a good fight of faith. We have got to continue to acknowledge in truth what is going on right now in these United States. But I want to say this and say this from my heart. Until we can all come to the table and feel as if we are at the table, this separation is going to continue. My prayer is that we will forget Republican, the party. We will forget Democrat, the party. And we as a people of the United States will come together, because my God says that he created us all in his likeness. He didn't create me out of somebody else. He said every last one of us was created in his likeness. So therefore, if we are going to be true believers, we cannot take away the character of God, because he says, I change not. He said, I am the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. We need to practice that. We need to practice that to bring unity in this community. It breaks my heart that even with this conversation, we could not come to an agreement on what's going on, because we see what's happening in this world. I had to say that from my heart, because I feel that that is needed. We can't cry, Lord, Lord, and go do devil, devil. It's not going to work that way. My time is up. And I wish that I had another hour. But I've got to go. Let me leave it with you as I do every day. And I mean this from my heart. Never, ever, ever lose your focus. Always remember this. If you keep God first in whatever you do, I can guarantee you, being truthfully, you're going to be a total success. So until tomorrow, for another day of nothing but sunshine, know that I love you with a perfect kind of love. And tell somebody today, Republican, and mean it that you love them. I love you, John. All right. Until then, bye for now.
Sunshine's Corner, being brought to you by Quint and Richie Stewart.